We have already reviewed in the past another IGS product, the stereo EQ rubber bands, and this one, I can tell you, is gonna be even more special. Hi guys, and welcome back to RedStone Productions. Today we are reviewing the IGS Tilt and Bend Stereo Tube Equalizer. In case you guys don't know, IGS Audio was founded in Poland by Igor in 2003. They offer a large catalog of pro audio gear ranging from preamps, compressor, equalizers, and even analog reverbs. The owner is a well-known producer in the hip-hop scene since the 90s. He started to build pro audio gear for his own studio out of necessity and slowly snowballed into an actual pro audio brand. We have already reviewed in the past another IGS product, the stereo EQ rubber bands, and this one, I can tell you, is gonna be even more special. The Tilt and Bend EQ is one of the sexiest units we have in the studio, using two nose tubes as level meters as you would find in vintage radio systems. It features a sturdy 3-unity rack chassis with huge knobs and switches, just like you would find in old retro vintage gear. The price tag is €2,600 plus VAT. The inspiration for this design sparkled from Igor's uncle Chris' tube radio. In fact, he liked it so much, they asked him to hand draw the actual schematics. These schematics indeed served as the foundation for this actual product. He upgraded this design with mastering-grade step controls in order to ensure perfect recallability. It is a stereo unit with 3 different bands, low, mid and highs, plus the Tilt EQ function and a stepped attenuator at the end. In particular, the Tilt EQ is very useful for quick shaping of the overall tonal balance, while at the same time ensuring the minimum possible phase shift. Centered around 500 Hz, it allows you to counteract any piercing high end or rumbly low end, as you can see in the graph here. The low and the high bands allow you to quickly select between 3 different frequencies: 50 Hz, 100 Hz, and 250 Hz for the lows, while we have 5 kHz, 10 kHz, and 12.5 kHz for the highs. All of these EQ points can be boosted or cut by 10 dBs, and the most interesting part of this section of the EQ is that you have both wide shelves and backsandal curves at your disposal. In particular, the 50 Hz boost or cut is an actual backsandal curve, while the 100 Hz and 250 Hz on the lows are broad shelves. The same criteria also applies for the high-end filter, where the 5 kHz and the 10 kHz are shelves, where the 12.5 kHz is an actual backsandal curve. This is the reason why, if you own an hi-fi system, you're already familiar with these EQ curves. In fact, the bass and the treble of your receiver are actual backsandal curves. In order to provide even more flexibility with this unit, Igor introduced also the mid-frequency on this, where you can actually boost or cut up to 5 dBs, 500 Hz, 1 kHz or 2.5 kHz on a bell-fashioned curve. So basically, with the interaction of the Tilt EQ, the 2 backsandals or shelves on the lower end and the high end, plus a bell in the middle, you should be able to pretty much shape your actual program material in the best possible way. At the end of the circuit, there's also a stepped trim attenuator, which allows you to perfectly match in terms of volume pre- and post-processing. Every single control on the unit is stepped, which ensures perfect recallability. There's a true bypass, and there's also a very, very low noise floor, making it probably the quietest tube EQ we have in the studio. On the back of the unit, you will find the usual voltage selector, the XLR IOs, and 6 N1P tubes that are actually exposed in order to allow you to quickly swap them without having the need of opening the unit itself. Without further ado, it's now time to have a listen to the unit and see what you guys think about it. So I'm gonna run some different program materials in order to demonstrate what's the actual use and application of this mastering grade tube equalizer in our studio.
Hello, my friend, there'll be a letter from the road. It's been a long time since the last time that I wrote. I don't know why, but before we gotta go, it feels like something I should do. Hello, my friend, there'll be a letter from the road. It's been a long time since the last time that I wrote. I don't know why, but before we gotta go, it feels like something I should do.
Love is calling in such a mysterious way. Love is calling in such a mysterious way.
So as you could probably hear from the different examples we played for you, this is a fairly unique design. I do really like the fact that I can quickly shape the balance of the overall program material without having to double think about it or second guess myself. Something that's really unique about this design as well is the fact that you can tilt, as I demonstrated before, towards, let's say, the low end and then give it back with a nice backsandle at 12.5 kilohertz. The first thing I want to demonstrate is the actual shape of these curves. So I'm just going to use a simple tone generator. I'm going to use pink noise to actually excite. And I am going to be using a couple of FFT meters, a couple of frequency analyzers. And the first one onto the left is the Pro Q2, and the one onto the right is the actual span. What I want to demonstrate first of all is the actual tilt curve. So if I boost it fully clockwise, plus 10, as we said, it's actually boosting by 5 dBs the low end while cutting at the same time anything above 500 hertz. So if I actually engage it and we look at the actual FFT meters, we will see the actual shift. So that's what's going on with that setting, with the tilt EQ fully clockwise at plus 10. If I do the opposite at minus 10, we will actually see the shift. Yeah, so that's what makes this curve pretty unique. Think of it as something centered around 500 hertz, and you can decide to go even this way or this way. If we compare this curve to its digital counterpart, because Pro Q2 also has a tilt band in place here, just gonna disengage the actual analog outboard and I'm gonna engage the tilt shelf on Pro Q2. So what you will see in here is that as soon as I compare these two, now we actually boost in the high end with this tilt, disengage it, engage it again. If I will mimic the same on the analog, these are gonna be the differences. So nothing on it, the digital tilt, look at the span meters here, and now I insert my analog tilt and bands. Again, the shape is very, very much the same. Now, tilting at plus 10, if I look at that and engage it, that's the actual tilt it will happen. If I want to replicate this onto the digital domain, I will have to do this. Again, the results are fairly comparable. So all in all, these are very useful curves if you want to brighten up or darken up any sound without thinking too much about it and without messing up with the phase of your program material. The other interesting part of this design is, of course, the actual backsandle curves. So we said on the bass and the treble, you do have the lowest possible 50 hertz. That's an actual backsandle. So let me just demonstrate that. I'm still gonna use my pink noise as a source. And if we actually engage that backsandle, you will see the actual shift. Yeah. So again, if I switch from that 50 hertz backsandle boost to its nearest switch position, 100 hertz, that's gonna turn into a shelf boost. And as you can see, has a very different phase curve. So the same applies also, of course, onto the actual treble, as they call it here. So if I boost 12.5 kilohertz with the backsandle, that's how it looks like. If I actually switch to 10 kilohertz, which is fairly close to it, the shape will be kind of very different, and you will hear it as sounding a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more heavy-handed. At the same time, like most tube outboard gear, it will give its own sonic imprint in terms of harmonic distortion. If we look at the spectrum analyzer on the right, you can see that even on a 1 kHz pure tone, it will create harmonics not present in the incoming signal, making it a colorful hardware unit. If you look for alternatives on the market, you will find that the closest one is the IGS Audio Tilt Amber EQ. It presents the very same controls, a tilt, 3 different bands, low, mid and highs, and an actual attenuator at the end of the circuit. Another close one is the actual Tilt EQ from IGS Audio. And then talking about backsandle curves and backsandle EQ, of course there is the notorious Dangerous Music Bax EQ. There are some beautiful sounding 500 series pop audio backsandle curves available out there. But what's really unique about this unit itself, it's built into one, a tilt, 2 backsandles / shelves, and an actual mid bell, basically giving you 3 different units in one design. A little tip that actually works great for me, might be good for you guys as well, is to always have a high cut and a low cut following this unit. I'm actually using my Manley Massive Passive, which has very nice high cuts and low cuts. And the reason for this is that if you actually think about it, the Tilt EQ, if you are boosting low end, you might actually be exaggerating very low octaves. They are just eating up your headroom. So while having it followed by an actual low cut, you're making sure you're not wasting any headroom on the low end. So that's the main reason why I always put my Manley Massive Passive low cut and high cut after the tilt and bends. I don't know what you guys think about its sound. I'm very impressed with the quality, the look of the unit. One more time, it's probably the sexiest unit we have in the studio at this point. It's definitely not the most surgical or flexible EQ you can have in your arsenal, but it's a very unique one. You can switch in between backsandle and shelves. You have a bell in the mid, and you also have a tilt EQ. That's very tasty for the money you're paying here. All in all, it's not a piece of gear that I will always use for any single mastering project I have, but I do know by experience that whenever it fits it greatly. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until the next time.